Welcome back. Okay, so people will be like, where's the video on the Canucks? Okay, so that all came down during these games. I'm not going to stop watching hockey games and not do a review because the Canucks make big, massive changes. I will do a video on that tonight after this is done. And I'm glad it's been delayed because there's more information that's coming out as the night goes along. I would like that video to be as in-depth and detailed as possible, and to have a rational discussion because it's necessary. And I've tried to keep it rational the whole way through, and I'll do the same now. Although, are we happy in Canuck fan land? Yes, absolutely. It is not great to celebrate somebody losing their job. There are good people who lose their jobs in the business of hockey, but it's a move that absolutely had to be made. So that aside, we will start off with the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, I'm going to say this. One thing that was discussed by Elliot Friedman tonight is that what's going on with the Flyers may have influenced the Canucks, where they wanted their coach to be Bruce Boudreau. He's available, and they might have been worried that Philadelphia was going to fire Alain Vigneault and might take Bruce Boudreau for themselves. And anybody who says, well, Boudreau will only get you to the playoffs, he won't get you very far. Canucks will take playoffs. So Elliott versus Hart was the goaltending matchup. Elliott, of course, formerly of the Philadelphia Flyers. Stamkos with the net feed, that's kicked aside. Maroon had a net drive that was defended. The shots are 6-1 for the Flyers at 5 minutes. They came out very well in this game. Cirelli then nearly buries one, and then McDonough does. He scores from Stamkos and Joseph at 8:24, and a minute later, Perry scores on a wraparound from McDonough and Belmar at 9:24. The Flyers try to answer. Elliott saves. Again, it's a good period for Philly, and they come out of it down by 2. And just the body language of the Flyers right now is not great. Second period, JVR had a chance defended by Ruda. Then Ruda has a blast at the other end that's saved, and then Radish scores from Hedman and Colton at 2:56. Tkachuk adds the 4th goal for the Tampa Bay Lightning from Colton at 6:47. The Flyers then go to a power play. A chance to answer? No. Joseph scores shorthanded at 8:34. So that ends the night for Carter Hart. In goes Martin Jones, and I mean, Carter Hart did not have a great game. So this is the problem now for Philly. Philly had a good start to the season playing against really tough teams. Then they start losing. Tampa's still an excellent team, but now they're starting to lose big. Now they're starting to lose games big. Now, I wore a Flyers jersey for the preview this morning, and I thought maybe they can start to turn this around, but it's going the other way. And now Jones is starting to have some of the same issues he had last year, and that's the bad thing, is that these losing streaks that in the beginning there's maybe some good moral victories here and there, eventually it becomes so you're just losing. So there were Bronx cheers for saves when Jones went in. Bronx cheers being when fans cheer every save, no matter how innocuous. Bolts get a power play. That doesn't succeed. The Flyers then get a power play. That didn't succeed. I will say this, the Bronx cheers, I think, was just on the first shot or two faced by Jones. Bogosian prevents a Flyers goal. The horn sounded, so it went in. Now, here's the interesting thing. So the puck did go in. Then they do a review, and they decided Lawton had high-sticked it in, so it's not a goal. So it's so weird that initially they didn't rule it a goal. The horn sounds, meaning Toronto saw that it was in the net, and then they review it, and they go, it's not a legal goal anyways. It was a high stick. Bizarre. Took a while for all that to happen, too. Fortier then with a shot. Jones saves there, so we go to the third period with a score 5-0 for Tampa. Early press by the Flyers. Jones saves a shot from Cal Foote. Radish was denied his second goal of the night. There was a net pass to Cirelli that doesn't connect, and then Tkachuk prevents a goal from Lawton. Maroon would score to make it 6-0 from Perry and Hedman at 5:29. We then end up with Cirelli, Sanheim, Konechny, Foote all pairing off. Cirelli, obviously, with the fishbowl, he's not going to be fighting. He's got a broken nose, so it's not a lot that can happen with Sanheim there. And that followed a play on Elliott. Flyers end up coming out of all of it with a power play, and they score on it. So Atkinson scores. It was a nice tip there by him from Giroux and Yandel at 7:04. That ruins the shutout. Bolts then get a power play. They do score on that as well. It's Corey Perry staying red hot. He had an assist and a goal tonight. Yeah, Perry's playing really well. McDonough with an assist as well. So he ends up with, 3 points on the night? Yep, 3 points on the night. A goal and 2 assists. And that's at 14-15, makes it 7-1. That's your final score. So Tampa goes to 15-5-4. Philadelphia drops to 8-10-4. They are absolutely just plummeting out of the playoff race. They're not in it at all right now. Shots are 14-9 Philly in the first, 10-9 Philly in the second, 15-9 Philly in the third. That's right, they outshot them every period. Final shot totals 39-27. Power plays, Tampa 1 for 2, Philly 1 for 3. The hits also favored Philly, 21-12. Elliott saves 38 out of 39. Hart saves 10 out of 15, and then Jones saves 10 out of 12. So, yeah, there is some belief now that Vigneault's time in Philadelphia is coming to an end. I do wonder if that would be the last run for Vigneault as an NHL coach. This is, his fourth time around as an NHL coach. Eventually, they stopped doing the recycling bit, although I'm saying that as a fan of a team that Bruce Boudreau is going to be coach of. So, although Boudreau is a very good players coach, and that's important. But I'll get to that when I talk about that. Obviously, that's been kind of big news, so we will get to that. All right, next up, moving along, as this pen tries to die. San Jose in against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So it was Hill versus Merzlikins. Sharks had a 2-on-1. Cogliano fires wide. Sharks would press. Elvis robs Timo Meier on that. Shots favored the Sharks. The Columbus, though, getting some zone time. The thing is, the shots are 11-3 for San Jose 7 minutes into that first period. Columbus presses at 9 minutes. Columbus ends up with a 3-on-2 that leads to a press afterwards. Hill makes saves there. Elvis prevents a Hurdle break. He comes out to make sure that Hurdle doesn't get to the puck. And then Boquist scores from Danforth at 16-16. He absolutely wired it. So Danforth on the board. So the 28-year-old rookie, right there. Not bad. Columbus had momentum with the lead, but then 3 seconds left in the period. Bonino scores from Nieto and Cogliano. So San Jose ties it up. Bonino stays red hot. And to start the second period, that continues. 21 seconds in, San Jose gets the lead. It's Erik Karlsson from Barabanov. So they have a lead for 32 seconds. Kuraly scores from Peak and Texier, and that was on a nice rush off a turnover. So at 53 seconds, this game's tied at 2. Elvis then saves a chance for Bonino. The shots were 7-1 in favor of San Jose at 7 minutes. The one shot for Columbus had gone in. Burns then scores from Nieto and Meier at 8:44. That makes it 3-2 for San Jose, their second lead of the night. Cogliano then fires one wide. The Sharks were smothering Columbus chances. Jenner can't bury one. We get a quick whistle there, too. That puck was loose. And then Sillinger ties it up at 3 at 17:49. Nyquist then with a net drive. That draws a power play at 18.5 minutes. So that rolls over into the third period. The Sharks would finish the kill, but then it's Jack Roslovic, who was a healthy scratch last game. He scores from Domi and Peak at 1:57. Then Boquist puts Columbus in the lead. He scores from Gabriel Carlsson as well as Voracek at 5:34. The Sharks getting zone time. They needed some shots. Eventually they get one, and it's a good one too. Hurdle puts it in the net from Meier and Dahlin at 10:11. So that makes it a 5-4 game. There was some unhappiness in this game with 7:42 left. Not a lot of the physical ugliness tonight in that one. That was saved for other games. Danforth gets shaken up. He would exit. He comes back. He's fine. Columbus score, but it's offside, so no goal. So this has been happening a lot, right? If you're a Columbus fan. Goaltender gets pulled with 2+ minutes left. That gives Columbus the chance to get the empty netter, and they do. It's Texier from Nyquist and Robinson at 18:53. I got a kick out of it just because Nyquist's right in on the net, and he passes it to Texier. It's one of those, you take it. You take it. Take it. So I'm not sure why that is. Some players don't really want that empty net goal. I don't know if it's that they don't. I don't want my goal to be just that I tapped it in there. You tap it in. So the final score is 6-4. Columbus wins. They go to 13-10. San Jose drops to 13-11-1. Again, they played well. They just don't get the result. The shots were 19-9 San Jose in the first, 10-9 San Jose in the second, 12-5 Columbus in the third. Final shots 34-30 for San Jose. Power plays, Columbus had the only power play, and it didn't score. So the second night in a row that Columbus is in a game with very little power play time. Hits 25-10 for Columbus. Hill saves 24 out of 29. Merzlikins saves 30 out of 34. And yeah, Hill didn't have the same kind of game he did in the last one, but overall, I think Columbus really appreciated the bounce back game, and we'll see how they do from here, right? Right, moving along. The misery that is the New York Islanders right now, I think I'm okay with using the Fisherman logo, because I like using the Fisherman logo. Obviously, I use classic logos, this one here and that one there. But there are times where Islander fans say, we can't use that. That's when we were really bad. But right now, I mean, as a Vancouver fan, it feels like 1997 anyways, so sure. So it's Fleury versus Varlamov. Early chances for the Islanders. The Varley chance after a big save. You can tell Islander fans really want Varlamov to get that first win. And, I mean, maybe tonight is that sign that things are turning around for him, right? Lee misses one wide. The Hawks get a power play. Kubalik had a tip shot that was saved, but then not long after, Hagel scores on the power play from DeBrincat and Jones at 6:49. And that was a deflected shot. There was no chance on that one for Varlamov. And for Hagel, he is, I think, one of the more underrated forwards in the NHL. And I know most Chicago fans will likely agree with me on that. We then have the Hawks nearly add another. They press at 8 minutes. The Islanders' fourth line then gets some momentum as well. Beauvillier was denied. He had been without a point in 10 games. So Beauvillier's turned ice cold for them. Isles pressed with 6 minutes left. Bellows with a rush chance, that's saved. And then the last minute, Chara had a shot that was saved. But it's 1-0 Chicago after one. Second period, early press by the Islanders. The Hawks are shot blocking. Lee fires one high. The Islanders get a power play, and they score on it. It is Pajot from Aho and Barzal at 8:03. The crowd, very energetic, very loud after. UBS Arena really wants a win to cheer for. They really want the Islanders to do well. They want that same environment that they had with those back-to-back runs to the Final Four, right? Things get kind of scrummy at 8:34. The Islanders go back to the power play. The Hawks did kill it off. They had a 4-on-2 right after it's finished. It was not successful. But then we get a power play for the Hawks that follows. 27 seconds of 4-on-4, and then the Islanders get a power play. So it's a bit of a parade in the second period. Wallstrom misses one high. Lee had a shot that was saved. Everything gets killed off. The Islanders press with 2.5 minutes left, but we went to the third period with the score tied at 1. So the shots are 2-1 for the Hawks at 5 minutes. Lee had a wraparound that was saved, and then Sebastian Aho tips one, and it goes right to Dylan Strome, and he buries it at 5:59. So Strome with an unassisted goal. It's only his second of the season. We'll see if he gets going. The Islanders with a power play. 8:42 left. Fleury denies Wallstrom, and it's killed off. And they talked about how teams might be starting to get a little bit of a book on Wallstrom and knowing exactly what he's going to do in these situations, and so they know what to expect. The Islanders lacking finish. They also were dealing with shot blocks from the Chicago Blackhawks in that third period. Beauvillier had a drop pass that was just a near miss. If that had hit, might have a different conversation right now about that game. Lee was denied. The goaltender gets pulled with 2 minutes left. Wallstrom hits Fleury's mask with a shot. 58 seconds left. The Hawks call a timeout. At 19:56, Noah Dobson puts one in the net to tie it from Barzal. And so we're going into overtime with the score 2-2. Chicago was 2-2 in overtime. The Islanders 0-3 in overtime. Those numbers remain the same. The Islanders control on the face-off. They were ragging the puck, and then the Hawks got it. They were ragging the puck. It felt like neither team wanted to win in overtime. I was like, do they know they've got 5 minutes? The Islanders get it back. They're ragging it around, and I thought, is anybody going to shoot? Eventually, the Hawks got a couple of shots late in it, but we went for a while without a shot in that overtime. It was like they were playing for the shootout, which they get to. Now, Chicago, historically coming into today, was 3-0 in shootouts against the New York Islanders. Make it 4-0 because Kane gets the winner. Chicago goes to 9-13-2. The Islanders drop to 5-10-5. It's kind of an ugly season right now for the Islanders, and it just keeps getting uglier. Shots. 10-8 Chicago in the first, 7-4 Islanders in the second, 10-9 Chicago in the third, and in the overtime Chicago gets the 2 shots. The Islanders didn't have any. Final shots 26-24 for Chicago. Power plays 1 for 2 for Chicago, 1 for 4 for the Islanders. Hits 24-18 in favor of the Islanders. Fleury saves 22 out of 24. Varlamov saves 24 out of 26. And now I need to change boards. Okay, so now we get into the games where people are going to be upset with referees. And I get it. As I always say, the option to choose a penalty is there. Between Winnipeg and Toronto tonight, neither team was very good at killing penalties. And that's kind of a story out of this. And the Jets' resurrection seems to be continuing after that last game that I was like, okay, that's New Jersey. Can they do it against a playoff team? And tonight the answer is yes. It's Wall versus Hellebuck. This was game number 1,000 for Wheeler. They had a nice ceremony beforehand, and Byfuglien was there. So we haven't seen Byfuglien in a while. He was there. Early chances for the Leafs. The Jets get a power play. Connor fires one high, and then Dubois scores on the power play from Wheeler and Scheifele at 4:05. So Wheeler in his 1,000th game picks up a point there. He would pick up more later. And Dubois just dekes around Wall. It's the first shot, so it looks bad for Wall, but he just dekes around him. Not much chance for the goalie on that. Jets get another power play. Ehlers had a chance that was caught. That one's killed off. The shots are 8-4 for the Jets at the half, so Toronto was kind of flat to that point. Tavares with a rush chance, that saved. Spezza with a chip shot, saved as well and held on to. The Leafs get a power play. There was a shorthanded chance for Kyle Connor, and then that power play succeeds. It's bunting from Engvall and Ritchie at 16:08. And then the Leafs go back to the power play. That one unsuccessful. Keep in mind, Winnipeg's penalty killing percentage at points this season has been almost as bad as the historically bad Canucks penalty kill, so there's that. Second period. The Jets get the lead early. It's Kopp from Pionk and Schmidt at 150, and it's not a great goal, and Wall's going to have those moments. He's young, and he's learning, right? Jets then press for another. Bunting's shot was kicked out at the Jets' end, and then Svechnikov scores from Tony Nato, and Harkins at 4:54. Bunting and Dillon are unfriendly. We end up with a Jets power play out of that, and they score on it. Connor from Dubois and Wheeler at 7:38. So Wheeler with a couple of helpers there. Leafs press for an answer, but the puck goes the other way, and Ehlers scores from Kopp and Schmidt at 10:45. This is a disastrous second period for Toronto. It was 5-1 here. So there's a post for the Jets that kept them from 6-1. Leafs get a power play, and then they get a minute and 3 seconds of 5-on-3. Matthews would score during the 5-on-3 from Tavares and Nylander at 14:20. So Austin Matthews stays red hot. As the announcer said, when it's 5-on-3, you can't cover Matthews. You don't have the manpower to cover Matthews, right? Kasha would then score from Sandin and Hall at 15:46, which is shortly after the power play ends. So that makes it 5-3. The Jets, some close calls in the final minute, but it's 5-3 after 2. Third period, Lowry can't bury one as the Jets press. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. There's a rush chance. Riley fires high. Simmons goes nuts. He ends up getting 2 and 10 out of it. I don't know how to describe it. He just decided he was going to just fight everybody. Ritchie then, he kind of did the same. It's not as bad, but I wanted to put on the board Ritchie goes nuts. And I know there's people are going to like it. Doesn't get a penalty on it because he didn't go full Simmons with it. So we end up with a power play based on what happens with Simmons, right? So he gets the 2 minutes that puts the Jets on the power play, and they score on it. It's Scheifele from Connor and Pionk at 8:14. So this is a power play that was not working for Winnipeg as recently as 2 games ago, and suddenly unstoppable. We then get Clifford against Dillon in a fight. Things are really fighty. Leafs get a power play. That was a no. Simmons fighty with 34.6 seconds left. He went after Morrissey, and Stanley decided no. So Stanley stands up for Morrissey, and I thought that was a good gesture on Logan Stanley's part. Because, yeah, you don't want to see in last minute of a game that's already done. You don't want to see Morrissey getting hurt in a fight with Simmons. So your final score is 6-3. This was basically the ugliest game of the night in terms of the fighting and all that. Winnipeg goes to 12-8-4 with the win. Toronto drops to 17-7-2. I also owe Toronto fans an apology. They were number 1 in the power rankings last night. That's what happens. You lose. So the shots were 13-12 Winnipeg in the first, 12-11 Winnipeg in the second, 16-12 Winnipeg in the third. Final shots were 41-35 in favor of the Jets. Power plays, Toronto goes 2 for 5, Winnipeg goes 3 for 5. So both teams had 5 power plays, and there were 5 power play goals on 10 power plays. Neither penalty kill had it going on. Although, again, Toronto with the 5-on-3, these things happen. Hits were 24-15 for Winnipeg. Wall, 35 saves on 41 shots. And Hellebuck, 32 saves on 35 shots at the other end. So, yeah, it's an interesting night. All right, moving along to the other game that I'm sure people will be rational and okay with. The LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. Before starting this review, I talked to my wife about this game and about this one, and she said, oh, the comment section. I said, yep. So it's Quick versus Koskinen. I have Noose up there. It's Nurse. So Nurse returns. I just forgot the R there. Early chance for Arvidsson, and the Kings jump out to a lead. It's Kupari from Moore at 2:01. It was the third shot. The Oilers had none. And it was an indicator of how LA was just not going to give Edmonton anything tonight. Kings press at 3.5 minutes. They're getting more shots. Kopitar had a rush chance that was saved. Arvidsson hits a crossbar. Oilers press at the half. There's a power play for the Oilers. That was a no. So I don't know what happened there. The Oilers had momentum after that power play, but then there's a post for Kempe. There were 3 posts for the Kings in the first period. Second period, Kempe scores early from Brown and Doughty at 1:42. The Oilers get a power play. It doesn't succeed. And the Kings had really quieted down the crowd. They're ahead 2-0. The Oilers are 0 for 2 on the power play, and they're out shooting them. They're out chancing them and outplaying them. So I felt like this is the most impressive game the Kings have played all season to this stage of the game. Danault had a shot that was gloved and held. The Kings get a power play, and then the Oilers strike shorthanded. It's their 4th shorthanded goal of the year, and it's Nurse with his first goal of the year from Nugent Hopkins and Hyman at 10:04. The Oilers finish off that kill, and this is where the momentum is there. And this is where I expect those big transition plays to favor Edmonton. LA did a good job of making sure those big fast break chances weren't there that we normally see in an Edmonton game. McDavid with a near miss. As Quick was being tested, the Oilers are looking for a tie. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. And the Kings had trouble during that 4-on-4. It was in their end a bit. Much better period for the Oilers, but it's 2-1 Kings after the second period. Third period, Sevier prevents a goal for Grundstrom. Grundstrom was right there, and if Sevier didn't get in his way, that's in the net. Shots are 3-0 for the Kings at 5 minutes. Iafallo had fired one high. The Kings were pressing, and yeah, they were doing well. Iafallo then has a rush chance that's saved. Fogle had a net drive that was saved. Fogle, I think they said it's 15 games since his last goal. Kempe gets boarded. McDavid gets a penalty with 6:33 left. They gave him a 5 in a game. I was surprised. I looked at that and I thought, that's 2. And I know there's probably not going to be an Oiler fan on planet who agrees with 5 in a game. But that's really essentially what ended it. And that penalty kill, it's weird because the Kings came into tonight as a team that had 2 power play goals on the season in 8 games. And they more than doubled it during that 5-minute power play. So Kempe scores from Kaliev and Doughty at 14:38. The Oilers are attacking shorthanded. They have to, because now they're down by 2, right? Doughty scores on the power play from Kopitar and Arvidsson at 16:03. He wants to be named to the Olympic team. So watch for Doughty to get a bunch of points and play a bunch of minutes. And then Moore scores also power play from Elias Anderson, as well as Dursey at 16:57. The Oilers killed off the rest of it. There was like a minute left in the power play. But the damage was done. And I mean done. The final score is 5-1 for the Kings. They go to 10-9-4 with the needed victory. They're coming into Vancouver tomorrow. The Oilers 16-7 on the season now with that loss. And so, we'll see what happens with the Oilers from here. But that was a tough loss. The shots in this one, 13-6 LA in the first, 13-12 LA in the second, 14-4 LA in the third. So I know that the penalty against McDavid absolutely changes the feeling of the game, but the fact the Oilers only got 4 shots in the third shows you how well the LA Kings were controlling this game. Final shots were 40-22 in favor of the Kings. Power plays 3 for 5 for LA, 0 for 2 for Edmonton. Basically all the stats were backwards tonight. We would have expected the Oilers to outshoot them, the Oilers to get the 3 power play goals. Everything was backwards. The hits were 28-16 for Edmonton. Jonathan Quick, 21 saves on 22 shots. Koskinen, 35 saves on 40 shots. His stat line takes a beating because of that 5-minute power play. 5-on-5, he was very good. And yeah, the Kings were they were on tonight. They were ready. And again, I expect a rational comment section tonight, right? Because it's going to be late. So, rational, happy comment section. The idea that it's just one game out of 82. It's not that big a deal, right? It's not going to happen. I can say it all I want. All right, Flames in Vegas. Here we go again. So it's Markstrom versus Leonard. Calgary's never won a game in Vegas. They just don't. And this is on purpose that these are all word mark logos. I saw this, and I even over here I was like, it's got to have, so that works. That these logos do have the word marks in them. Early press by the Flames, because why not, right? Early press by the Flames. They pressed at 5 minutes as well. Vegas gets their chances at around the 8-minute mark, and then they get a power play. Vegas's power play is killed off. It's not a factor tonight. But then Pacioretty scores late in the period from Stevenson and Stone at 17:06. So this period here takes place while all the other craziness is going on too. So the less notes is because there was so much other craziness going on. Second period, early chance for the Flames. Smith had a rush that draws a power play. The Flames killed that off. Back and forth action at 5 minutes. Carrier with a net drive, that was saved. The shots are 5-4 Vegas at 9 minutes, so relatively evenly played period to that stage. Markstrom then denies Riley Smith. The Flames, I thought, needed to watch those rush chances. They were allowing a few too many for my liking at that point. Coughlin had a shot that was caught and held. Markstrom then chops Pacioretty. They had kind of a thing going on, and it didn't look that ugly, but I think other players were jumping in on that a bit. We'll talk about that in a bit here. Mark Stone then blocked his brother's shot. So there's that brotherly rivalry that was there in this game. Michael Stone in the game. I thought it was funny, too, that in between the first and second period, they interviewed Michael Stone and essentially asked him, so, hey, it's been a while since you played. We're kind of surprised you don't suck. That's not how they put it, but that's kind of how it sounded. I was like, wow. Kind of asked him, you're competent tonight. How is that? So, you've been on the shelf for so long. Anyways, Vegas kill it off. They allow 2 shots on a power play that the Flames draw with 2:32 left. So that happens. And we go to the third period with it still the same score, 1-0 Vegas. Third period, Leonard was tested at 10 seconds. The Flames had a 3-on-2. The shot block is there. And then on a turnaround by Backlund, Roy ends up getting a goal. Theodore and Smith with the assist at 1:49 makes it 2-0 for Vegas. And at that point, I'm thinking, all right, so this game's pretty much done. Vegas presses at 3.5 minutes. McNabb had a shot that was blocked. The Flames clear. And you could see the Flames were a little bit off tonight, and it's understandable. It's the third game in 4 nights. I know they're not the only team playing 3 games in 4 nights, but it does often start to show in the third period of that third game in 4 nights. However, Lindholm scores from Rasmus Andersson at 9:19 to make the game close, make it 2-1. The fans then wanted a call. The referee wasn't having it. Coleman with a net drive. It's blocked out. And then the Flames, they turned over the puck. Shillington just trying to do a little too much. The turnover. Dodonov scores from Roy and Janmark at 10:45. And so that made it 3-1. Things get scrappy with 7:57 left behind the Calgary net. So this comes back to the Pacioretty bit. Pacioretty took a couple of pokes at Markstrom when he had the puck. And so the Flames, I think it was first Hannafin, and then Tkachuk just comes barreling in. And that's when everything breaks loose, right? So it's kind of ugly. Vegas emerges with a power play. Daryl Sutter's great. So I've mentioned coaches shouldn't be yelling and swearing at guys, right? And I agree. What Sutter does here is great. He covered his eyes, like can't see anything. And then he does 4 guys. I saw him go, there's 4 guys. Meaning there's 4 guys in there fighting and doing whatever. And you give us the penalty kill. You give them the power play. And I can't disagree with him on that one. I thought that's how you do it. You do it without, you're not yelling and swearing. There's nothing he's going to get fined for tomorrow, pending a interview after the game. But it was entertaining. And then there's a penalty called a minute later, so we get a minute of 4-on-4. Anderson at a break. It hits the post. It hits the pad of Leonard, and then it starts rolling over the line, and Coughlin pulls it off the line. Leonard covers it, and no harm, no foul. But that was going in. So he stops an Anderson goal, which would have been huge. Because Anderson hasn't had a goal in 27 games. I guess it's 28 now. And, so everything gets killed off. And then Mangiapane scores his 16th road goal out of 17 goals this year. He might be the reason why the record's better on the road than at home. Gaudreau and Tkachuk with the assists at 17-19. The Flames then press for the tie. They pulled the goaltender with 2 minutes left. Tkachuk hits a crossbar. That's as close as they get. Your final score is 3-2 in favor of Vegas. They go to 14-10. Calgary drops to 15-5-5. So a lot of fives in that record. And so both Alberta teams with the losses tonight. So, and all I can think is to the power ranking discussion and how they both should be higher, and now they both lose. So, anyways, I'll just point at the board, and that's as far as I'll go. The shots 10-8 Vegas in the first, 9 apiece in the second, and 9 apiece in the third. So your final shots are 28-26 for Vegas. Power plays, Calgary 0 for 2, Vegas 0 for 3. Hits 33-14 Calgary. A lot of hitting from the Flames. Markstrom saves 25 out of 28. Leonard saves 24 out of 26. He had a pretty good game going, and then Jesse Granger said something about a shutout, and right away they score. So, and Granger's a Vegas guy, so that kind of surprised me. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. I do not believe in jinxes of shutouts. I don't. But hey, let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again very soon about the Vancouver Canucks.